So India, the largest democracy in the world with 1.3 billion people. And you know it as soon as you get off of an airplane in any of the cities in India. By the way, I grew up in Wayne, Maine, a town of about 500 when I was there, and you could put my whole town on one block of Delhi, where I landed. I was there in 2016 with my two daughters, who were at the time 15 and 17 years of age, and they are from India. And I was there for all things children. I was going to schools and orphanages and other places. And I was invited I was invited by a group of young women to go to a children's home for a party they were holding for these children who had never had a party in their lives. And these children were basically in an orphanage who were collected off the streets. They were abandoned in railway stations and street corners and were picked up and brought to this place to be safe. So I went there, and when I arrived, I was mobbed by about 50 of these little ragamuffin street children from about the ages of about 4 to 13. And I had decided that one way that I could participate in this party for them was to make a piñata. And so my girls and I made a piñata out of paper mache. And when piñata time came, we hung it up on a branch of a tree and instantly were mobbed by 50 little ragamuffin street children who didn't have a whole lot of social protocols under their belts and really wanted that candy. And it dawned on me in that moment that this was not one of my brightest moments of all time working with children over my many years, to hang a globe full of candy packets over their heads while I'm holding onto a cricket bat that they were all waiting to get into their hands. However, I was already halfway in, so there we were. The other thing I wanted to mention is that when I had arrived and had been mobbed by these children, there was one child in particular, a little girl named Poonam, who was about 5 years old, and she had a grin that just went from ear to ear. And she looked up at me, and it was with a look. She just decided to attach herself, not in a needy way, but in a I'm yours and you're mine kind of way. And that's all there is to be said about it. And so Poonam just followed me all afternoon and talked with me in Hindi and just was full of herself. And so when the time came for the piñata, there were all the children clamoring and yelling and screaming and being very wild. And I was feeling a bit overwhelmed, but there I was. And so I decided that we were just gonna make it happen. I had put little packets of about 2 pieces of candy and some stickers into the piñata, and I had enough for all of them. There were about 50 kids, and I had 50 of them pick packets, and they were to get 1 each. This was explained to them by people who could speak to them in Hindi. And we made a circle of about 6 inches so that we were trying to create a safety space. And I grabbed the nearest kid and put the bat into their hands and held them with it. Whack, nothing. Grab the next kid, whack, nothing. Grab the next kid, whack, nothing. I'm holding on. And I thought to myself, I've got to just break this dang thing. So I grabbed this kid who's about 13, and he's just like clamoring over everybody to get his chance at this bat. So I'm like, that's it, I give up. I grab this kid. I'm like, whack it for all you're worth. Hit that thing. So he smashes it, and the candy flies everywhere, these little packets. And they land in the bushes and into the dirt and all over the grass. And the kids fly everywhere to grab them. And everybody, meanwhile, and I'm screaming, 1 each, 1 each, just 1 each. And these kids couldn't care less. So off they go, and they're happy. And I'm thinking, okay, I lived through this experience, and I'm breathing. And I look over, and there are these 2 little boys sitting on a little half wall. And the youngest, and they were about 8 years old, 8 and 10, they were brothers. And the youngest was crying, hysterically crying, sobbing and sobbing and sobbing, as if his heart was breaking. And it dawned on me that his heart was breaking, that in this moment, all of life's disappointments, all of life's abandonments, all of the loss, all of the frustration, all of the pain, all of the injustice, all of the unfairness of his life had boiled down to the one moment of not getting a packet of candy that had flown out of that piñata. And so I went over to him, and I didn't have any candy left. And I had a translator, a young woman who was there with me helping to translate. And I said to her, please translate this when I talk with him. And I said to this little boy, I said, you have something more important than that candy. You have courage. You have a heart. I said, you have goodness. You are a good boy, a smart boy, a strong boy, a brave boy. And that's more than a packet of candy. And then one of the other organizers said, why don't we let these little boys get the food first for the lunch they were having, which made him very happy. And so off they ran. And I was pretty shaken, and I'm standing there thinking, I don't know what I've done. This is not going the way I thought it was going to go. And I look down, and there's Poonam, 5 years old, with that grin from ear to ear. And she looks up at me, and she's got her little packet. She had 2 little pieces of candy in that packet. And one of them was like a little, I don't know, Laffy Taffy kind of thing, just a little whatever, and sticky little candy. And she says to me, close your eyes. This was translated to me, so I did. And then she said, open your mouth. And it's never a good idea to do that. So, but it's Poonam, so what am I going to do? And I've just decimated this other little boy, so like, okay, Poonam, I'm yours. So I close my eyes and I peek, because I want to know what's going on. And I see her take half a bite of this sticky little candy, and in her grubby little fingers, she shoves the other half into my mouth. And in that moment, I had never had such a good tasting candy in my life. Thank you.